Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a look at how to factorise into double brackets. Now this is the second part because I've got another one of factorising in double brackets. The difference is that these ones here have coefficients in front of the x squared and the a squareds and bits and pieces, so it's slightly harder. So definitely have a look at the other video first before coming to this one. Yeah, let's get started. So, whenever we're expanding or factorising, we need to use the grid. So that's the first thing that I'm going to draw here, is my grid. Okay, and if you've seen the expanding and factorising videos, you'll know that the 2x squared goes in here, and then the number there, the 5, goes there. We put plus 5 because obviously it's plus 5. Okay. Now, where it's slightly different to the other video is that we take the 2 and the 5 and we times them together to get 10. Okay, so now we're looking at numbers that multiply to get 10. And always start off with the obvious, 1 times 10, and of course we have 2 times 5. Okay. So once you've written down all the pairs, we're looking for the pair that we can use by adding or subtracting to get 11. Okay, now if we look at these two, it's clearly going to be 1 and 10, because we can add 1 and add 10 to get 11. Okay, so they're the pair that I want. So instead of having 11x, I'm going to have 1x and 10x. I'm going to put that in here. So 1x and 10x. Okay, so this is going to be our answer. So if we were to, if we were expanding this, we had this as our answer. Obviously, the answer would be 2x squared plus the 11x, because remember they simplify, plus the 5. Okay, but we don't want that because we're factorising, so we want to know what our answer is here, like in the previous video. Now to do that, all we do is we have a look at this top row here, and we say, okay, I want to factorise this top row. So I'm having a look. The highest common factor of 2 and 1 is just 1, so I'm not interested in that. But I've got an x squared and an x, so I can take an x out, because x is in both of them, so that's cool. Once you've done that, it's just a little bit of playing about. So I have a look at this, and I go, okay, x times what gets me 2x squared? Well, I'm going to have to times that by 2x. So 2 is obviously 2, and x times x is x squared. Once I've got my 2x, I can look down here. What do I times 2x by to get 10x? Well, I times that by 5. And then over here, I've got x times what gets 1x? Well, that's easy. That's going to be a 1. 1 times x is obviously 1x. Okay, double check that 5 times 1 is 5. Yep, that works as well. And that's your answer. So I'm going to rewrite that just here. 2x plus 1. And obviously then the x plus 5. Like that. Okay? And again, you can always check these by expanding them back out to make sure you've done it correctly. Okay, let's have a look at the next one here again. Before you do anything, draw your grid. And the 3a squared will always go at the top there, and your number here, in this case it's minus 8, will always go at the bottom there. Okay, well, I should put my little times in here because we are timesing. And we do exactly the same thing. We do 3 times 8. Don't worry about it being minus 8 for now, because all we want is pairs of numbers. So 3 times 8 is obviously 24, and then I find numbers that multiply to get 24. Again, always start with the obvious and build up. So 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and then 4 times 6. Okay, now as soon as you spot a pair that you can use to get 2, obviously you can stop. In this case, we're going to be using 4 and 6. So I can have plus 6, take away 4, will get me 2. So again, it's 2a, so I'm going to have 6a minus 4a. So 6a minus 4a. So when I simplify that, I'm going to have my plus 2a. And again, just as we did up here, I'm going to factorise this top row. So this time the highest common factor of 3 and 6 is 3. So the highest number that goes into 3 and 6, that's what the highest common factor means. So the highest number that goes into 3 and 6 is 3, so that comes out. And again, I've got an a squared and an a, so an a will also come out as well. And again, we just then have a little think. What do I times 3a by to get 3a squared? Well, it's got to be an a, so 3 is obviously the 3, and then a times a is the a squared. 3a times what is 6a? Well, that's got to be 2, so I'll put plus 2 just to say it's positive. And then a times what is minus 4a? Well, that's just minus 4. Minus 4 times a is minus 4a. And again, don't forget to check. Minus 4 times 2 is minus 8, which is correct, because a minus times a positive is obviously a negative there. Don't forget to write your answer out. So a plus 2, and then 3a minus 4 in the second bracket there. And again, you can expand them out and test it to see if it works. Let's do this one then. So we're going to draw our grid. And again, your 3a squared goes straight at the top there, and the plus 10 at the bottom before you do anything else. Then I'm going to do my 3 times 10 to get 30. So that's what I'm looking at, pairs of numbers to get 30. Again, always start with the obvious. So 1 times 30, and work your way up. So 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 4 doesn't go in, 5 does though, that's 5 times 6. And again, we're looking for pairs that get, this case, minus 17, okay, or just 17 for now. Which pair can I use to get 17? Well, I can use 2 and 15. Now, because that's minus 17a, I'm going to have minus 2 and minus 15 to get minus 17. So be very careful when it's a negative like that. So I'm going to have minus 2a and then minus 15a. Okay, so when I add these together, minus 2 plus minus 15 gives me my minus 17. So this is an example where they're both negative. So as long as you've got that step correct, the rest of it is all the same. What's the highest common factor of 3 and 2? Well, it's 1 because they're both primes, so that's not a problem. But what else comes out? Well, an a squared and an a, so a comes out. What do I times a by to get 3a squared? Well, that's going to be 3a. 3, 8a is the a squared. What do I times a by to get minus 2a? Well, that's going to be minus 2. What do I times 3a by to get minus 15? Well, that's going to have to be minus 5. So minus 5 times 3 gets me my minus 15, and obviously I've already got the a there. And then finally, double check, minus 5 times minus 2. Minus times a minus is a positive, plus 10, yep, that works, not a problem. So don't forget to write your answer out, like that. Okay. Now, this one here is a little bit different, okay? Now, I'm going to draw 2 grids. You'll see why. Obviously, when you're doing this question, you won't be able to spot that you need 2 grids, but you'll see why I'm doing 2 in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to have my 3x squared and my minus 18, 3x squared, and the minus 18. Okay, so when I do the next bit of 3 times 18 to get 54, and I start doing my pairs, so 1 times 54, 2 times 27, 3 times 18, and 6 times 9. Again, we're looking for ones to get plus 15x. Now, you might notice from here, you can get 15 by using a 6 and a 9, but you can also do it using a 3 and an 18. So that's why I've done 2, because I don't know which one it is until we start doing it. Okay, and this is how you spot. So let's start off with the 3 and the 18. So I'm going to have 18, because this is plus 15, so I have plus 18, take away 3. So plus 18x, take away 3x. Okay? Now let's factorise it. What's the highest number that goes into 3 and 18? Well, that's 3, and then x squared and x, so an x will come out. What do I times by 3x to get 3x squared? Well, it needs to be another x. What do I times by 3x to get 18x, that's going to have to be plus 6. 3 times 6 is 18, obviously then the x. What do I times by x to get minus 3x? Well, that's going to be minus 3. And then finally, double check, minus 3 times 6 is minus 18. Yep, so I can write this one out. Okay, that one works. Now, of course, you can obviously factorise that into it as a single bracket if you wanted to, but for now, we'll just leave it like that. So that one's okay. Now, this is what happens if you would have picked the other one, the 6 and the 9. So obviously, again, I want plus 15x, so I need to add these two. So it'll be plus 6x plus 9x, and then when you factorise this, it all goes well to start off with. What's the highest number that goes into 3 and 6? Well, it's 3, and obviously x squared and x, so an x can come out. And obviously then we times it by x again, just like over here. 3x times what is 6x, so that's 2. What do I times x by to get 9x? So that needs to be a 9. Now, this is where you can spot it's wrong. Just in all the other ones here, when I checked, 5 times 1 is 5, minus 4 times 2 is minus 8, minus 5 times minus 2 gives me plus 10, and then minus 3 times 6 is minus 18. Here, 9 times 2 gives me plus 18. Well, I want minus 18, so that's why that one does not work. Okay, because 9 times 2 is plus 18, I want 9 minus 18. So that's the pair that I needed to use. So if you get something like this, when you've got two pairs that work, just try them out and then do that check to see which one is the correct one. Okay, now to prove that this works with slightly harder ones, let's have a go at these ones. So again, I'm going to draw my grid. Get them times in, and I've got 6x squared here and minus 10. Okay, and I'm going to do my 6 times 10, which is 60, and I'm going to find numbers that multiply to get 60. So again, start off with the obvious ones. 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, that's the one I want. 4 times 15, because 4 and 15 I can use to get 11. Okay, so let's do that then. If it's minus 11, I'm going to have minus 15 plus 4. So minus 15x plus 4x. So that'll give me my minus 11x. Then we can just factorise it. What's the highest number that goes into 6 and 15? Well, that's going to be 3. And obviously then I've got x squared and x, so an x comes out. What do I times 3x by to get 6x squared? Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and obviously x times x was the x squared. What do I times by 2x to get 4x? That's going to have to be a 2. And then 3x times what is minus 15x? That's going to have to be minus 5. So don't forget to write out your answer. 3x plus 2 and 2x minus 5. Okay. And again, even bigger this time, we've got a 12a squared, so there's lots of possibilities you could have at the front. You could, of the brackets, you could have x and 12x, you could have 3x and 4x, you could have 6x and 2x. But using this method does save a little bit of trial and error if that's the way that you used to do it. So again, do your grid and fill it in. As we know, 12 times 3 is 36. So again, we're looking for my pairs. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 times 9, that's the one I want. 4 and 9, I can get 13. Okay, now again, because it's minus 13, I'm going to have to take away 4 and take away 9. So minus 4a, minus 9a, if I add them together, minus 4a, take away another 9a, that's going to give me my 13a. Again, one of these double negatives, so be careful with that. And again, a little bit of factorising. Highest number that's in 12 and 4, well that's 4. And again, a squared and a, so an a comes out. What do I times to 4a to get 12a squared? Well, that's going to be a 3a. What do I times 4a by to get minus 4a? Well, that's 4a and that's 4a, but I've got a minus, so it's just minus 1. 4a times minus 1 gets you minus 4a. And what do I times 3a by to get minus 9a? Well, that's going to be minus 3. So minus 3 times 3 is minus 9, and obviously then the a. Don't forget to check minus 3 times minus 1. Minus times minus is a positive, therefore it works. And again, write out your answer like so, and it's happy days. Again, you can expand it if you want to check it, but hopefully that helps and is in keeping with all the other methods. Like I said, this is part 2, so make sure you watch the other factorising as double brackets video first before looking at this, otherwise you might be a little bit confused. Cheers guys, hopefully that helps.